Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
It's WrestleTalk's Best Wrestlers of 2020. I am Luke Owen, and I'm joined for this podcast by Mr. Davis.
Hi.
And Corporate Chopper.
Hello.
Oh, the authority is strong here.
Ollie Authority represents on this podcast. So we've done things a bit differently this year. The very first time that Ollie and I did our best wrestlers, we did them as separate lists. And we both had a different interpretation of best and favorites, because I put Alexa Bliss in my list and Ollie took the piss out of me because she was one of my favorite wrestlers that year.
As did the comments, I'm pretty sure.
They very much did, yeah. And they were super mad at me for not having enough New Japan wrestlers, even though I think I had 6. Anyway.
You should just make them up after a while. That's what I do. I look at other people's lists and make an amalgamation of them to give the impression that I know more than I do.
Well, I'll come on to that because I do feel like that's what you've done with these. I'm joking, of course. So we did our separate lists. Then after that, we did kind of like joint lists together. We sort of like had an office discussion about who should go onto the list. This year, however, we have had it as an anonymous vote. So people have submitted in, when I say anonymous, I know who they all are. People have submitted in their favorite wrestlers, their favorite matches, and their favorite pay-per-views. The person they rank top gets 5 points, second gets 4, third gets 3, etc., etc. And then I have collated all those points together. So we've done it to the on-screen talent, us 3 included, all of our editors, all of our website writers, social media. Abby has got involved, and it was also sent out to the wider WrestleTalk family, including the friendos at Going In Raw, Sean Ross Sapp, Chris Van Vliet, Muscle Man Malcolm, True Heel Heat, Wrestling Daily. The whole team got him on board with that. Alex Queen of the Ring, Denise Salcedo. So we have got a lot of votes come in.
We needed to do an all-authority list.
We should, really, yeah. That should be the definitive list.
I was just about to ask, okay, Mr. Davis, who is your favorite wrestler of 2020? Who do you think is the best wrestler of 2020?
Mr. Davis. 3 championship reigns.
He's got a point, you know.
But for realties, do you want me to tell you who you picked? I've got your submissions.
Is it Kenny Omega? Did I pick Kenny Omega?
I'm pretty sure I remember who I put, at least.
I did this weeks ago.
Who did you do, Chops?
I'm pretty sure I went for Drew McIntyre.
Let's find out. Questionnaire. Find Ollie Davis. Yes, Ollie, you did pick Kenny Omega. And Pete, you did indeed. Oh, actually, no, Pete, you picked Roman Reigns.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
Oh,
the best wrestler of 2020.
I originally had Drew and I changed it to Roman. That's right. Yeah.
Yes, you did. You bumped down Drew into second place. But I can now reveal the points as they have come in. So, in 10th place, the best wrestler of 2020, with 15 points, it's Chris Jericho of All Elite Wrestling.
Okay, so this opens up, obviously, not the best in-ring matches of the year. I can't think of, obviously, had the series with Orange Cassidy, but I can't think of any in-ring work that really blew me away. Like, obviously, he dropped the title to Jon Moxley. That wasn't an amazing match. It was just a really cool moment at the end of the pay-per-view that we weren't expecting. The best thing that he's done this year for me is La Dinner Debonair.
Yeah. Now, I think I wasn't expecting Jericho to be on this list because there are some names on here that did not make it on that I would have put money on would have made it onto the list that didn't. And Jericho was voted above that. Not only that, actually, Jericho got not just 5 nominations, he got 1 top-level nomination. Someone gave him the full 5 points in the 15 that he got overall.
Who?
Man, what's
name and shame?
Anonymous.
It is, in fact, our Prince Charles Cinema friend, Jonathan Foster.
Ah, okay. Well, you know, there's
5 points.
You can't argue against the fact that he is arguably AEW's biggest ratings draw. He was the top champion for the first 2 months. He is impressive.
Absolutely.
I always find it interesting when we do stuff like best wrestler. It really depends because I think a lot of people hear the word wrestler and they go, right, okay, who's been the best in ring this year? And that's not necessarily what it means to be a good wrestler, because it's more about your character, how you connect with the fans, not necessarily the caliber of in-ring matches but you're doing, but like the level of star power that you bring to a company or something along those lines. So I think Jericho's deserving of somewhere in the region. I wouldn't have put him in my top 10 personally, but somewhere it's not an upset that he's in the top 10 for sure.
At number 9, also with 15 points, but with more nominations, is Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't have any of those killer matches this year, did he? Obviously, first TNT champion. One of the most dramatic angles of the year, but reduced me to tears when Brody Lee beat him down, and then the Dark Order also beat down Brandy, and there's that magnificent closing shot of Dynamite where they're both holding on to each other's hands.
Legit made Ollie Davis cry.
There wasn't any of those like real amazing Cody singles matches that we got through 2019.
He didn't have a double or nothing match against Dustin. I think that the match that he had with Orange Cassidy, the time limit draw, was really, really good. And actually that Brody Lee match you mentioned, I thought was really good as well. His match with Darby at Full Gear was fantastic. And I think that's probably why I'm not surprised to see Cody on this list. And actually the position that he's in is probably what I would have expected him to be. If he'd have been top 5, I'd have been really surprised. But lower bottom 5, I'm actually like unsurprised by.
I'm hoping for a clean sweep of AEW here. We're on track.
I mean, before we started recording this, Chopper did send me like, if there's AEW guys on here, I'm just going to look to you lads.
I'm just going to throw it to you guys. You watch it more than I do.
Okay, well, in number 8, in the 8th position, now this is an interesting one because this wrestler also had 15 points up until the last nomination that came in. That gave him a bonus 3 to give him a total of 18 points, and that is Limitless Keith Lee.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, because sorry, Chubbs, I was going to say for me, I love Keith Lee, but I don't think 2020 has been his year. But perhaps I'm only judging that on the last 6 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, he had the whole North American title win, double champion in NXT, huge deal. But then that kind of got undermined by everything that followed. And it's been kind of downward since then. And even in August when he debuted and he beat Randy Orton clean at Payback, we were all like, oh my God, Keith Lee, amazing. But literally since August, that's a whole 4 months of not great stuff on Raw. So yeah, I'm surprised to see him up there. He had a good start, but it kind of went a bit south.
Yeah, he had that great match with Dijakovic earlier in the year. Which,
Portland, right?
Portland, which I think a lot of people forget actually happened this year because it happened in February, which honestly feels like 5 years ago at this point. So yeah, Keith again I think is probably in the right place for this, but I think his run on Raw has really devalued a lot of the good stuff that he did down in NXT this year.
There was that stare down with Brock Lesnar in the Royal Rumble as well. But like you said, that was in that period between 2019 and 2020.
Yeah. The before times.
Yeah, the 2.5 months that don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So Keith Lee actually got one top level nomination. So he got one of those was a full 5 points vote for him.
Is this what are we just gonna every entry we're gonna tear apart why they should be on here?
Well, no, I think that we were not. What do you mean tear apart?
Well, Chris Jericho were like, I wouldn't have been on my list. Cody Rhodes, he didn't really have any great matches like he did in 2019. Keith Lee, he got called up to the main roster again. Double champion, Royal Rumble debut, and stand off with Brock Lesnar. But yeah,
perhaps that will change.
Oh, winning pin in the Survivor Series men's match in 2020.
Yeah. Not wrong on that one. So let's see if that changes as we get to number 7 on this list, because we're actually on a bit of a jump up here. We had 18 points for Keith Lee, 33 points for this next wrestler. Is quite a jump up. 2 top level nominations for former SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley, who I would argue absolutely is one of the shining stars of the COVID era of WWE in 2020. Had a fantastic year.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Her and Sasha pretty much carried WWE along with, I'd say, Drew. absolutely carried WWE through the Performance Center era in particular, and her whole feud with Sasha throughout the year was fantastic. She did a great job.
Yeah, Bayley was so good, and Sasha in conjunction with that. She didn't just make SmackDown really watchable. She made Raw really good as well. Like their reign as the double champs when they both had 2 belts. Dear God, that was the best thing on Raw. Every week I was looking forward to the women's stuff.
Yeah, I would argue it's like it's not just Raw. I agree with you. I think it's been the best stuff WWE's had this year was the Banks Bayley storyline, which it has gone throughout the entire year. They had the match, they were part of the same match at WrestleMania, and they were a tag team. They finally did the big split. They had a amazing match at Hell in a Cell. Really, really great match. It was so good. I wanted to see more out of it. I've not been overly enamored with Bayley's booking since losing the title, but I think it's undeniable that she has just had a fantastic year. Promos, the way she has carried herself as a heel, wonderful.
We haven't done a top 10 list for like individual wrestling spots of the year, but remember when she tried to sellotape a sort of thing in between the ring apron and the cage?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's up there, isn't it?
It's a good spot, that.
Not sure what they were going for on that one.
What was she? Yeah. Was it a kendo stick?
Yeah, it was 2 kendo sticks she was sellotaping together to make like a bridge, I think, between them.
Didn't she shout at the referee, "Help me, my hands are sweaty"?
My hands are sweaty. That's why you can get the tape off.
Good. I'm glad that we ended off that one managing to find a negative so we could tear them down.
Totally.
We're getting into the top 10 there. And at number 6 with 37 points, so beating Bayley by 4 with 3 top-level nominations, Roman Reigns is in at number 6.
So I think Roman has had the best stuff in the entirety of 2020 in wrestling, full stop. But he's only been there he's only had that sort of run in the second half of the year. The first half of the year, obviously, he was the runner-up in the Royal Rumble, still as his old face character. And then obviously he took time away before WrestleMania. He was gone until SummerSlam. So that whole period, and he wasn't there at all. I can see why he's not in the top 5. However, I think the run he's had in the second half of the year has been one of the best in wrestling. I think his whole story with Jay has been absolutely fantastic. The head of the table character is amazing. I gush about it every single week on the SmackDown podcast, so I'm not going to do that here.
Oh, I mean, I feel like you should gush away because it is really good. But I do agree with you. I think that is why. Don't pull that face. That's why.
Such a gush over him more, Pete.
But I do think that is why he's not been on the list, as Pete said, because his great run has been the last 4 months.
Yeah,
but it's the best stuff he's done in his whole career.
Absolutely,
it's surpassing the Shield stuff.
Which is why I think that he did get 3 top level nominations, Pete included. And you look at it, it's 3, 4, 4, 5, 3, 1, 2, 1, 5, 3, 5, 1. So he also got a lot of nominations in there. Really, really impressive stuff. But he did not crack into the top 5 because with 3 top-level nominations and 14 overall nominations with 43 points, Sasha Banks.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Also well-deserved. I mean, a lot of the stuff we said about Bayley as well also applies to Sasha. And I think she's even had marginally better booking than Bayley since their story has imploded. She's actually been treated like a champion, which is nice. So it's quite refreshing. So I can totally see that. She's great.
Well done, WWE, and well done, Bruce Pritchard, for sort of giving them the platform and the focus and the time to tell their story together. I'm guessing there's no NXT women on this list.
There are not. No, I will say that, Sasha Banks and Bayley are the only 2 women to have cracked our top 10. And in fact, are 2 of 3 that cracked the top 15.
Well, I would say, they're the only ones who have really been properly pushed by the 2 major North American promotions throughout the whole year. So it's unsurprising.
Io Shirai got 6 points. Thunder Rosa got 4. Who else is there? Nyla Rose got 2. Bianca Belair only got 1 point. Only 1 nomination.
What's she done?
The 1 point roll.
Done that much, Charlotte.
Yeah, she got beat by Charlotte and then eliminated from Survivor Series because she's too thick to understand a 10 count. I think that was the booking anyway. So I'm really pleased to see Sasha Banks in there because there was actually a period of time when we were doing this that no women were in the top 10. And I was like, uh-oh.
Was that when the website team got their picks in?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, the website team got theirs in early, and it was which is why Dexter Lumis nearly ended up in the top.
Oh my God, Dan! No.
Yeah, Dexter Lumis at one point in this list was tied with Will Ospreay, Cody Rhodes, and Walter as the best wrestler of 2020.
Nothing against Dexter Lumis. I think he's good. Just not that good.
Yeah. I can tell you that he did not. Yeah, he got 5 points overall, and that was that one nomination by Dan, who gave him
Dan,
the top level nom.
Nice.
Right. The top four was really interesting because there was a lot of back and forth around this, and there was a lot of like jumping over each other, jumping back. This wrestler with 46 points, 3 top level nominations, really looked like he was going to be in the top 3. And it's Hangman Adam Page.
Ooh, yeah, he was high up on my list. I can't remember if I put him second or third, but like Pete said at the start, what do you rate a wrestler on when you're picking your top 5? Do you do it on the in-ring work? Do you do it on the character? Do you do it on the storyline? And in terms of character arc, Hangman Page has had the best character arc, the most realistic, unlike anything else I've really seen before in wrestling. And it's not over. It's like one of those arcs that's genuinely soap operatic because it doesn't have an end point. It's just we are living with a real person who just so happens to be a wrestler, as opposed to boom, heel turn. That doesn't happen in real life all that often. It's like these ebbs and flows. And and his in-ring work has been fantastic. That singles match with Kenny, and of course, the best match of the year, the Revolution tag.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And actually, like the Hangman Page one I found particularly interesting because that match that they had with Kenny at Full Gear wasn't designed to be like a match of the year candidate. It was just designed to be a really good match, a solid 4-star match. It's like an MCU machine where they're just like, hey, we just churn out 4-star movies. That's what we do. Occasionally, one comes out that's 5. Sometimes they come out as 2, but consistently they're 4, and that was what the match was designed to be. And yet it got a lot of nominations for best match of the year from some people low down, but I think that's a testament to how much people have really warmed to Hangman Page in 2020. Really pleased to have seen that, and he only just missed out on 3rd place by 1 point.
Oof.
All he missed out on by.
Oh man, I will say just before we move on to number 3 as well, I think if we were doing like most improved wrestler of the year, not necessarily like actual in-ring capability, but in terms of star power and how the fans view a character or a wrestler, I think Hangman Page has got to be up there from his initial run in AEW, going for the world title initially, and that whole run, and people didn't really connect with him properly, to now being one of the most beloved characters in the entire promotion. It's an amazing arc for him as a wrestler.
Oh yeah, you compare Hangman Page, like the popularity of Hangman Page at All Out 2019 compared to All Out 2020, it's night and day. Absolutely night and day. Feels so much more of a main eventer, and I think they've done a really great job. Tony Khan should be very commended because he took over that in 2020. The start of the year, he was like, that Dark Order thing that we ended off 2019 did not work, so let's do something really big here. And we are sticking on the AEW train at 40 with 47 points in at number 3 with 5 top level nominations. Jon Moxley, the former champion, made it into the top 3 this year. I'm sure that Adam Blompier will be very upset about this.
Well, he had the championship all through a very difficult COVID era. He won it in February. We're all so excited. Wow, Mox is the champion. This is going to be so awesome. And then, like, one of the big things about Mox's appeal, it's that kind of guttural, raw sound that he gets out of the audience. Very few people have such a like weirdly carnal connection with an audience of thousands of men. I think it's like that inner anger that we all harbor. But he's held the title, until the start of December. So what's that? An 8-9 month run with the belt. And he had great matches. And systematically, in every one said that his finishing move isn't good enough. That's the story of Jon Moxley in 2020, apart from being the champion and being excellent on promos, is, yeah, my finisher isn't that good or effective. So he was beating people with chokes and, was it arm bars with Brian Cage because of that injured bicep. So yeah, a brilliant storyteller, like in terms of physicality in the ring.
Yeah, I would say for Moxley, I think the reason why he's so high on this is I think people really liked him as AEW champion. I loved his run personally. He was in my top 5. But he's also had great top level matches. I'd say the only dud title defense he had was against Hager in that empty arena match. And I don't think all the blame can be put on Moxley for that. Actually, I think it was a particularly good match. But, you know, the feud with Kingston, the feud with MJF, the feud with Brody Lee, I thought he did some really, really great stuff as champion. And his final match as champion against Omega on Dynamite, Winter is Coming, was, again, really, really good. For a match that was designed to be, you know, is more about the angle at the end, the match was still really, really great. Now, in at number 2, who only beat Moxley by 2 points, despite getting 6 top-level nominations, there was a period of time where I thought that this wrestler was going to run away with it because he was top for so long. Like early doors, absolutely running away with it. And then went through a huge spat where no one voted for him. And that's what he nearly fell out the top 5 at one point. But with 49 points, it is the current AEW champion, Kenny Omega. He got, like about sort of 9-10 nominations, I think, in the end, 6 of which were top level, which is what did get him to second place. But he failed to get the top spot, which I was really surprised by.
So it was between 2. I think we all know who the winner is then. And well done.
So.
Well done. John Morrison, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, before we do, but I mean, what can't be said about Kenny Omega? You know, he is a wrestler that. Sorry?
That can't be said about him.
You're absolutely right. That can't be said about him because people were really down on AEW for not pushing Kenny as the top guy for him. That storyline where his story was, I'm rubbish now. And I'm walking sad. That's my new gimmick.
I'm rubbish and bored about it. I'm bored by wrestling now. That was his thing.
That was it. But now we've got the best bout machine back, and he's had some great matches this year. Really, really great matches. I can't wait to see what he's going to do as the top level champion, not just in AEW, but also AAA, likely going to be all around the world to come in, next year, taking as the titles if they are going to do this belt collector storyline. I cannot wait to see. I think Kenny Omega is he may clinch the number 1 spot next year unless someone does pull out a really stellar year.
Where do you think Omega would be in this if he hadn't won the AEW title in December?
Well, I can tell you that most of these nominations came in before he won the title. So I wonder if had the nominations come in after he won the title, maybe it would have been a bit different.
Yeah, it's possible.
I think we all guessed though. I think we guessed
going to win the
belt. Yeah.
Yeah. But we didn't guess the whole Impact thing, and I think with Don Callis, that's a big part of that. I think that's what got a lot of people really excited, and I do wonder if we'd have done this say on December 3rd. Unfortunately, we couldn't because of time restraint. But we'd done this on December 3rd, whether or not there would have been a lot of people who would have just reactionarily voted for him higher.
Yeah, with recency bias and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you were just making fun of us for AEW bias there. But no.
You just hear the word bias and instantly you're like, oh, commenters coming at me again.
However, in at the number 1 spot, not only with 7 top level nominations, but an incredible 19 overall nominations. Kenny Omega got 49 points. But our winner with 72.
Whoa!
Absolutely run away with it is Drew McIntyre. WWE
Damn right it is.
McIntyre.
Damn
and
right.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Well deserved. Winning the Rumble in January, winning the title at WrestleMania. Really great feuds with Seth and with Bobby. I think people sleep on that Bobby Lashley feud. MVP did some amazing work again. Both those guys massively over in all of that. And then the seemingly never-ending feud with Randy, but did actually have some really good matches and moments out of it as well. And now the stuff that he's doing with AJ Styles, I think he has had aside from that one blip where he lost the title for a matter of weeks, which I do think was an error, an absolutely stellar year for Drew.
Yeah, it's hard to beat a year that he's had, especially, and speaking of most improved wrestlers, he's been amazing always, but in the eyes of the fans, in 2019, he was nothing. He was part of the mid-card vortex and whatever. He was Dolph's bodyguard. He was nobody. And then turning that around, turning him face was the key to it in December last year. Going in straight in at the Rumble, that reaction, I'll never forget the reaction to Drew winning the Rumble. That was such a good, feel-good moment. And then going on and having an incredible year and being, along with Sasha Banks and Bayley, one of the key factors that actually carried WWE through the whole COVID era. He's been absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And we criticize WWE a lot. But this is because of them. Drew took the ball and ran with it, but WWE give the ball to very few people. Like 2 people in the last decade I can think of. And they really, really pushed him. Even when Paul Heyman was removed. When that happened, I was like, oh no, Drew.
Yeah.
But they have pushed him so hard. There have been episodes of Raw where they built the whole of Raw around, but stick around because Drew McIntyre is going to be interviewed in the main event. And you're like, what? And he doesn't even say anything of note, but they believe he's a draw. And sometimes it's that, especially with WWE, it becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy where they treat him like a draw. He becomes a draw. I mean, that's really how stuff should be booked. And lest we forget, he made Dolph Ziggler look like he was genuinely going to win the title at Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
How did he do that in 2020?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, congratulations to Drew to round off our top 10. An incredible, I was 72 points against Kenny Omega's 49 is really, really impressive. Just to go through who didn't crack into the top 10, who just missed out. Bray Wyatt just missed out on a place in the top 10. Got 14 points. Bearing in mind, just a reminder, Chris Jericho at 10th got 15. So lost out by just 1 point.
It's so hard for Bray. Sorry, just really quick for Bray, because he had probably my favorite match of the year being the Firefly Funhouse match, but he's not really done anything else.
He got beaten by Goldberg.
Yeah.
Because Bray, he got 2 top level nominations. He got 2 5-point votes, but it wasn't enough for him. Number 12 with 11 points, and also with 11 points is Asuka and Eddie Kingston. Both getting 11 points. Eddie Kingston comes in higher because he had more high-level nominations than Asuka did. Number 14, Adam Cole Bebe with 10 points. And with 9 points, just making it to the top 15, is Will Ospreay. He actually drew with Walter, Tetsuya Naito, and the Young Bucks, but he did get 1 top-level nomination, which is why I've given him the official stamp of 15.
I think the Young Bucks would be higher if the list was phrased more as like top 10 or top 5 acts. Because when you say wrestlers, your mind goes to single stars. Also, just like, I don't want to play into this narrative, but I think our treatment of NXT is reflective of the general interest in wrestling writ large. And the highest rated NXT person there is at number 14.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And interestingly, with the Young Bucks, there were people who did just nominate them as the Young Bucks, but sort of specified specifically Nick Jackson.
Right.
So Nick
That's
nearly got
unfair.
poor old Matt.
Matt.
But yeah, so the Young Bucks did get quite a bit of love. It just wasn't enough, unfortunately. Do you have anyone that you would like to know who they voted for as their best?
Oh,
Andy Datson.
Louis.
Andy Datson. Jon Moxley was Andy Datson's number 1 pick. Louis had Drew McIntyre as his number 1.
Yeah, obviously.
Absolutely fair.
Not FTR. I thought he would
No,
get
not FTR, not Best Buds. FTR.
No. Alex had Bayley as her top. Denise had Drew. Sean Ross Sapp had Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi, by the way, got, where is he? Where's Kota Ibushi? 8 points overall. And that's the top level nomination that Sean gave him, and 3 that someone else gave him. But I think with New Japan, because I was surprised that there wasn't more New Japan people in there, but I think it's because they haven't had the year that they usually have. Like they didn't like this year's G1 was really good, but it wasn't like the G1, like as it has been for like the last 3 or 4 years. So I think that's why people like Kota, Okada, Tanahashi didn't crack into the top 15 at all.
Plus, their top champion was evil for a lot of months there, and that just didn't work.
Yeah, unfortunately so. Hey, here's a fun one. Xenia gave 5 points to Orange Cassidy.
Who did?
Her top pick. Xenia, who was one of the guests that we had on the podcast. Yes, she had Orange Cassidy as her top pick.
One of the best matches of the year against Pac.
He did, yeah. He also got 8 points as well. So that is going to round us off for our best wrestlers. Who are your favorite, your best wrestlers of 2020? Do let us know down in the comments below. Get in touch with us. Tell us that we're wrong, but it's not just us this time. There's loads of people that voted. Tell Sean he's wrong or something. Also, click the videos that have just appeared on screen to catch up with more great WrestleTalk content. We've got another couple of these. We've got best pay-per-views and best matches coming up in the next couple of days, but I've been Luke Cohen. This has been Mr. Davis. That was Chopper, and that was Wrestling Jam That Jam.